Hello and welcome to Doodle Club with me, Cate Field. I hope you are well. In today's Doodle Club, we're going to be looking at the whimsy. I've decided it's time for a bit of fun, some bit of doodling, and we're going to be creating some lovely little watercolour houses and perhaps some trees. I'm going to show you some really easy techniques that you can use to make your own elements that could be used for your art journals or your cards. Welcome if you are new. I release tutorials now on a Monday and a Friday every week, and on Wednesday there's Wednesday Wandering with me waffling about stuff. And thank you so much for those of you who keep returning and leaving lots of lovely comments. So you are not going to need very much today. I am going to be using watercolour paints and a ballpoint pen and maybe some acrylic markers or something like that. But you could do this with any type of paint, really. The technique is there. You do with it what you will. I hope you enjoy it. Let's go. Well, I do hope you are well. This is going to be a fun, easy tutorial that you can make as simple or as complicated as you like. I've put this into my April journal where I'm just kind of working through the last few pages for the last few days of April. You might not be watching this in April, of course. Anyway, I hope you're well. What we're going to do is we're going to use watercolours. I'm going to use my Rubens watercolour palette, which I really love using, but you can use whatever you like. Everything that I use I have put in the description. And also you don't have to put stuff into a sketchbook. We're going to be using some coloured paper, and maybe some black card. And I've got some newspaper, some glue, some scissors and a soft brush, and that is about it. So let's get going. So I'm going to be using some paper that's got some substance to it. It's not very stiff. It's about 200 grams per square metre. Just very thin paper won't work so well because the paper is going to get wet. So we're going to start off by just sort of activating the paint, and what I just do is give it a bit of a squirt with some water, just kind of to get it going. And then you can just have some fun now, because all you're going to do is squares. Now these squares are going to be cut out. They're going to be turned into our little houses, and you're going to be working very quickly. I'm just going to do just very simple squares. I was doing a class this morning actually in Axminster in Devon, near to where I live, and I was telling my class then, you've got to do these really quickly, no more than 10 seconds, really fast, and then you're going to put a triangle on the top to create your roof. And the fun thing about this is obviously you can play with your colours. I'm going to use sunshine colours for this one. This, just working really quickly. Just these little houses that you used to do when you were little. Doesn't matter if it all runs into the other colour, that's absolutely fine. So that one just took about a minute to do all of those. Let's do another one. Let's change the colours a little bit. Let's go for blues and greens. Again, I'm just putting squares and rectangles onto the page, and then because we're working really quickly, we can just add another colour to that, just to blend those in. This is a very good introduction to watercolour because it's playful and you don't have to follow the rules, because there aren't any rules. I've never been very good with rules. Not sure about you. Just always had a slightly rebellious streak. Not too much, you know. I've never really got into trouble, but but then my mum probably said I was quite clever, so I used to get away with it. put those to one side. You can see just how quickly I'm working with these. I was going to do one more, and this one I'm going to do in sort of blues and purples. That lovely sort of midnight blue there. Let's again just do a tall thin one, and then these shapes, as I said, are going to be turned into buildings, and they are going to form your kind of little fantasy fairy tale landscape, if you like. Or you can just cut them out and use them individually for elements in your card making or your art journal. However you want to use them. So just working really quick, and it's quite good to make quite a few, because then you can save them. So if you have a birthday or coming up or something like that, actually that one's looking like some kind of toadstool. Anyway, so I'm going to leave those. So yeah, so if you've got a birthday coming up and you want to make a quick card, then you've got a whole load of elements that you can use. I'm going to leave these to dry. They won't take very long to dry, but they do need to be dry before we do the next bit. So these were some that I did earlier, as they say in all the good art demonstrations. And I'm going to cut these out. And again, how you cut them out is up to you. You can go close to the paint so there's no white bits. You can have some white bits if you want to. I might just chop that bit off the top. Each one is going to be totally unique and totally yours. So you do it however you want. I love doing things like this with my little students as well as with my adults, because you can do it really quickly. There's not a huge amount of skill involved, but the results are charming. And you, like I said before, you can make it as complicated or as simple as you like. Now what I'm going to do now is to put these on to card. This is just ordinary cardstock. Coloured paper would work, and some I'm going to put onto newspaper, so that would work as well. So we're just going to sort of try out. You could do it on that pale blue, see what it looks like on black, see what it looks like on fluorescent orange. The neon had to come out really, didn't it? There we go. That's I'm just going to use some a glue stick. You could use double-sided tape if you want to. Just go to the edges like that, and then I'm just going to stick that onto there. And there might be a few more. I've got some more blue ones that might look quite good with a blue background. I'll do a few more of those. That one's quite a good one. I think I will do that one. And then I'll cut those out, and then I'll show you the next step. So what I've done is I've put those onto the blue card. So no details yet, just put those. And then this one I just stuck on to some newspaper text, as I did with this one, and then I put this one onto black as well. And I like the way that the houses just kind of change a little bit when you put different backgrounds on. I'm just going to turn to the next page in my book, because I want to do a little bit of background. Let's just pop the clasp on there like that. Again, I've just got some bits of text, bits of newspaper, and I'm going to put these in the background. You could use collage for your background, you could use paint. I'm going to do a mixture of newspaper collage and paint, and this will just be like the background, a bit like the rolling hills of my beloved Dorset. There we go.
there. So this is a very quick little thing that you can do. One of the things we were talking about this morning in my art class was time, and that kind of elusive time that we keep thinking we're going to do, and then we don't, and then stuff gets in the way. So again, I'm just sort of popping in these like this. This newspaper is going to become those hills, but I'm going to put a little bit of paint directly into the book. Just going to start off with some blue, going right across the whole of the double page. I think I need a bigger brush actually. But it is a problem with time, isn't it? Because there's always something else that could be a bit more important, which I think is a bit sad. So I'm just going to put some green over the top of that and just see what's happening here. Just the newspaper will just pick up the paint, and then we've got some rolling hills, and that will need to be left to dry. If you've got too much paint, which I think I've got there, you can just lift a little bit with a tissue. And I'm thinking, as soon as I'm going to leave this to dry anyway, let's put something in the foreground. Let's just have just a bit of a neutral. Again, working very quickly. When you're using watercolour, if you can get into the habit of working very quickly, then you can work on slightly thinner paper. Quite like that. I'm going to leave that to completely dry. While I'm doing that, I'm going to take some of these and cut them out. And then I'm going to be thinking about perhaps some prose that I want to write, because this is my April journal. I have written some little poems. I think I might pop some of those in. I've also got a little story as well. In my freebies section on my website, and I've put the link in the description, you can pick up a whole load of stuff absolutely free, from prompts and sort of invitations to creative stuff and just all sorts of things. And I know that a lot of you have downloaded some of them already, so thank you for that, and I really hope you are enjoying them. So I did a few more of these. I think they're quite quirky, and the larger ones I thought I would make into a card. So it's just ordinary cardstock. Pop that on the front there as a housewarming card or something like that, which would be quite sweet, wouldn't it? And yeah, you could imagine that one on there as well. Now, I think that they're quite pretty as they are, but you might want to put some details in, and to do that there are lots of different ways you could do it. You could use collage pieces for doors and windows, or you could use pen, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So as always, I now can't find the pen that I was going to use, so I'm just going to get myself organised and come back. Oh dear, what am I like? So I'm going to start off with a biro. You could use a pencil if you want to, if you kind of makes you feel a bit happier, but I'm going to start to put in some windows using my biro. You could use a felt tip pen or a Sharpie, something like that. It's just so many different ways of doing this, and again, as I encourage all of my students, just try things out, see what happens. Now I'm liking the stripes on the roof and the flowers here, and there's just other things that we could do. I've got some acrylic pens here. We can put in some lines. We could highlight some bits as well. There are endless sorts of things that you can do. So I'm just going to put that to one side and bring in this page, which is all lovely and dry now. And I'm going to start to put some of these that I have already cut out. I'm just going to start to move them around the page, see what they look like. Perhaps have some overlapping, that could look quite good. But again, you just sort of put them where you want, and we can just start to play. So when I did this in my class, I had one of my ladies just do some absolutely adorable little houses, and she put them all in a row, and they just look like the beach huts on the front at Lyme Regis, near to where we live. So we all decided that they weren't houses at all, they were beach huts, and that was great. So I am going to stick these in. Now you can decorate them once they are stuck in, or you can just decorate them as they are. So let's just put in some ideas of things that you could do. And this is where your doodling comes in, really, because again, there's no rules except your own. Just pop a few little dots in like that. That's going to annoy me. Let's move this out of the way. Let's just pop that there. And what we're going to do, again, it's that kind of childhood where little ones just do these houses, which are so cute. And you can just do them however you want. And you can turn them into fairy houses or sort of fantasy type houses with lots and lots of different colours. But the thing with using the watercolour as a background, I just think it gives it something else, because obviously you could just do this with white and then just use colouring pencils or something like that. But I like the watercolours. I think they're fun. Right, let's do this one. So let's have, oh, that's not coming out very well on that one, is it? But that's okay. You can have sort of yellow windows and a door. But let me know what you are going to do with your little whimsical houses. And if you've already got some stories lined up. Let's just pop that like that. Yes, and you could have people looking out of the window, or a cat. I quite often put a cat in my doodles. This one looks a bit like a shop window. Could have a cafe. Just create a whole scene, and that's what I'm going to do in this book. I'm just going to put a paper clip there to hold it. And the idea is you put them in, and then you can write things. I can write in the sky or along the road, or I can just leave them as they are. But I can also add to them as I go. And this is one of the reasons that I really like working in a sketchbook and an art journal, is I will frequently return to things, because often things aren't finished. You know, that is the nature of trying out ideas in a sketchbook. Things aren't going to be finished because you're not sure where they're going yet. And having a resource like your own sketchbook is fabulous. I did have someone ask me the other day, actually, when I said I'd been doing these lessons on YouTube for over a year now. And she said, oh, are you running out of ideas? And I have to say, no, I'm not. And I think it's because I've been a teacher for a very, very long time. And so I have this sort of arsenal of resources and ideas in my sketchbooks. So I could look back at a sketchbook from 20 years ago and find an idea. I also have lovely people like you contacting me and saying, oh, could you do a demonstration of that, or could you do a lesson on that? So if you have a burning desire to learn how to do something art and craft related, I'll be very happy to consider it. There we go. Because I do like working with all sorts of art and craft. I think I need a bit more glue on that one. It's kind of being a little bit stubborn, isn't it? Let's do a little bit more on there. So I do switch from doing kind of whimsical little pieces like this to dark, dramatic oil paintings, to working with acrylics, to doing people and portraits, all sorts of things. And I do like abstract as well. Ooh, I'll just up that. And doing abstract art is a very good way to learn how to use, I'm going to take that off and put some more glue on it, how to use a particular medium. So if you've never used acrylic before, for example, doing a series of tiny little abstract pieces is a very good way to learn. And I have a few tutorials on those. So if you would like to learn how to do acrylics and create beautiful abstracts, you could check that one out as well, couldn't you? That's really not wanting to stick, is it? Let's give it a bash. And then I'm just going to pop that one on there. And I've got my little street scene. And like I say, I have been thinking about some poetry, some prose. I have been very preoccupied with Lent, and so a lot of my poetry and prose was quite solemn and thoughtful. But now I feel that I can let go a little bit and be a bit more frivolous. Let's put that there. And they are all ready to go. And these ones just need a bit of attention, I think, don't they? Let's have some purple. We can put a few little purple dots over here. I do like dots. I do like a dot. Let's have our purple door here. We can fill that in. Again, you could use bits of collage, leftover bits are great. Yeah, they really are. And then we can go over with biro, put in the window. So I hope you're getting the idea of what you could do and how you could turn these sorts of ideas into your own pieces. And let's see how much fun you can have. And you could post them on our lovely friendly Facebook page. The details are all below. It's a very fabulous Facebook group, probably the friendliest. It's so lovely. Let's have like a porthole. There we go. So there are just so many things that you could do. I am going to sort out some of my poems. I'm going to write a little poem along there and then we will finish. So I wrote this little poem, or just a little story. Outside the post office, a robin sings to the daffodils. Mrs. Thorne hums along with a basket of eggs and a letter she's not ready to send. So this is my post office. This is Mrs. Thorne. I've put a few more little people here, and I will add to this over the next couple of days because I'm quite liking the whimsical nature of it. And this is how I would encourage you to use prose and use your creative writing with your illustration. I think it's a nice way to put ideas in. Sometimes I will just write a few words and then leave the space blank, just waiting. And like this one, I haven't done any more on this, but I love these ideas of the hills, and I'm going to write some poetry across the sky. I've got some more little poems that I've put in, just waiting. So I'll just leave you with Mrs. Thorne going to the post office. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet and you've enjoyed this tutorial, that would be wonderful.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. If you would like to see some more, this video here is a whole tutorial on watercolour whimsy type stuff that you might enjoy, or you could look at this one for something completely different. And until next time, take care. Bye bye.